Okay, picture this. It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You've just nailed 3 back-to-back meetings. You've cleared like 27 emails. You feel good, efficient, maybe even unstoppable.
Uh-huh.
And then wall.
Total system crash.
Yeah, tunnel vision. Your heart starts racing, and the ability to even, form a sentence, it just vanishes. You've completely flatlined.
And the really terrifying part isn't the crash itself.
No.
It's that you didn't feel it coming. You were fine until you absolutely were not.
And everyone around you is asking, why didn't you pace yourself, or didn't you feel tired? And the honest answer is, no, you didn't. Not until the engine was already smoking.
Exactly. And today, that's what we're digging into. This isn't about just having a hard week.
Right. This isn't something a spot A can fix. We're looking at a specific debilitating condition called autistic burnout.
It's so important to talk about this because for decades, it wasn't really in the clinical literature. It was, ghost knowledge, something the autistic community knew about, but doctors didn't have a name for it.
But now we have the data. Thanks to researchers like Dr. Dora Raymaker, Dr. Alice Nichols, and others, we've got clinical psychology papers. We've looked at neuroscience journals like Frontiers.
So our mission today is to go beyond just the symptoms. We want to unpack the why.
The neuroscience. Literally, what is happening to the mitochondria in your cells? And then what can you actually do about it?
We're going to look at why that dashboard in your brain fails and how to manually restart the system.
So let's start with defining the beast.
Yeah.
Because I think when people hear burnout, they just think of, hating your job.
And it does share some DNA with that for sure. But the Remaker study, which is really the gold standard here, defines it as a syndrome from chronic life stress and a mismatch of expectations and abilities.
A mismatch.
Without adequate support.
Yeah, that mismatch is the absolute key. It's the world expecting you to run on one operating system when your hardware is built for another.
And that constant friction leads to what the researchers call the triad of symptoms. Right. First up is chronic exhaustion. And we're not just talking about being sleepy. This is a deep physical, emotional, and cognitive exhaustion that sleep doesn't touch.
And the second one, this one I found really jarring in the case studies, is the loss of skills.
This is the one that terrifies people.
Like-
You're talking about skills you mastered years ago.
Like what?
Maybe you're a manager who suddenly can't organize a calendar. Maybe you lose the ability to cook a simple meal. Or in some really severe cases, the ability to speak.
It's not a choice. The pathways just go dark.
Yeah, just go dark.
Dark.
And the third piece is a reduced tolerance to stimulus. Your sensory buffer is just gone. The hum from the fridge now sounds like a chainsaw.
The lights in the office are physically painful.
Exactly. But before we get too deep in that, we have to talk about the big misdiagnosis trap.
Depression.
Depression.
Oh.
Dr. Megan Anna Neff's work is huge here because confusing the two isn't just a mistake. It can be really dangerous.
Because the treatments are the complete opposite.
The complete opposite. I mean, on the surface, they look similar. Low energy, withdrawal. But depression is often about a lack of motivation, a lack of interest. You don't do the thing because you don't want to.
Whereas in burnout,
It's a lack of capacity. You desperately want to go to that party. You want to cook that meal. The desire is there, but your body just will not execute the command.
so a therapist sees this and says, okay, depression, let's do behavioral activation, which is basically do more stuff. What happens then?
You're pouring gasoline on a fire. You take a system that has collapsed from being overloaded, and you add more load. It's like telling someone with a broken leg to go for a jog.
You make it so much worse.
You can push someone into a catastrophic, years-long crisis.
That distinction is so critical. But let's get into the hood. Why does the brain not send that, hey, we're at 10% battery signal?
This is where we get into the neuroscience of interoception. Dr. Sunil Reg calls it interoceptive blindness.
Interoception being your internal sense of the body, right? Hunger, thirst.
Your body's dashboard. In a neurotypical brain, the dashboard works, the fuel light comes on, you pull over.
But in the autistic brain,
That connection between the insula, which collects the body's signals, and the anterior cingulate cortex, which decides what to do with them, it's often faulty.
so the signal's being sent, but the brain isn't reading it properly.
It's either that the signal is so weak it doesn't register, or it's so noisy the brain just tunes it out as background static. So you don't feel a little tired, you feel nothing, 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 and then collapse.
You're driving 100 miles an hour, the gauge says full, but the tank is actually bone dry.
And when it stops dead. But here's where it gets really validating, I think. This isn't just a software glitch, it's happening at a cellular level. We need to talk about mitochondria.
The powerhouse of the cell. I remember that from high school biology.
We all do, yeah. They make ATP, which is energy, but they have this second job that no one really talks about. They're the cell's danger sensors.
Grenade sensors.
When the body is under chronic stress, and for an autistic person, just navigating a neurotypical world is a form of chronic stress, the mitochondria physically change shape. They switch from energy production mode into defense mode.
Wait, hold on. So the exhaustion isn't just I did too much. It's my cells have literally stopped making as much energy because they're trying to fight a threat.
Correct. The energy supply to the brain is throttled. This lines up with EEG studies that show decreased connectivity in the frontal cortex during burnout. The parts of your brain for planning and speaking literally stop talking to each other.
Because the power lines are down.
The grid is down, so when someone says, I can't think, that's not a metaphor, their frontal cortex is offline because of an energy blockade.
That's huge. That reframes everything from psychology to, well, metabolism. Okay, so what triggers this cellular switch? It can't just be one bad day at work.
No, it's an accumulation. Dr. Joey Lawrence has a useful acronym for the triggers. MEOWS.
MEOWS.
Masking, expectations, overload, work, and stress. But let's look at how they stack up. Let's start with M, masking.
Right. The big one.
Masking, constantly suppressing your natural behaviors to appear neurotypical, is one of the most metabolically expensive things a brain can do. One person in a study described it as leaving psychic plaque in the arteries of your mind.
What a great and kind of gross image. But it makes sense. You're running this high-performance rendering program in the background of your brain all day, every day.
And that plaque builds up. Then you add E for expectations. Society expects you to work 40 hours, keep a clean house, socialize. If your base capacity is already lower because of that rendering program,
You're constantly borrowing energy from tomorrow to pay for today.
and the interest rates will kill you. Then add sensory overload, the hidden work of just managing emotions, and general life stress. Eventually, the mitochondria just say, that's it, we're done.
So if someone listening is nodding along right now, they're in the crash. What do they do? Because take a vacation sounds pretty inadequate for cellular failure.
It's totally inadequate. We need a different protocol. I like the 5 S's of recovery, but I have to say, these sound simple. They are not easy.
Okay, what's the first one?
Stop.
Just stop. But that's the thing, right? Most people can't just stop. There's a mortgage, there are kids, there's the job that gives you your health insurance.
I know, and that's the reality. The stop here is about triage. It's cutting everything that is not absolutely essential for survival. Maybe you can't quit your job, but you can stop cooking and eat cereal for dinner. You can stop socializing. You have to plug the energy leaks, even if it means disappointing people.
Which leads right to the second S, seclude.
Right. And this goes back to the depression difference. In depression, isolation can make things worse. In autistic burnout, seclusion is medicine. Peopling, even with people you love, costs a ton of energy.
So hiding out in a dark room isn't avoidance. It's like an ICU for your brain.
It's adaptive withdrawal. You're removing all the input so the system can reboot.
Okay, the third S is one I think a lot of us have been trained out of. STIM.
Stimming. Repetitive movements. Rocking, hand flapping, using a fidget toy. Society tells us it's weird or childish.
Neurologically.
It's a regulation tool. It's a manual override that soothes the nervous system in a way that just sitting still can't. If you suppress that urge, you're blocking your body's own recovery mechanism.
The fourth S is SPIN, as in special interests.
Yeah. This is so cool because it uses that autistic tendency toward monotropic thinking, that deep hyper-focus on one thing.
I think the common sense idea would be, I'm exhausted, I should do nothing, just stare at the wall.
But for an autistic brain, that can be more stressful. Deeply engaging in a special interest sorting, Lego, coding, researching naval history, whatever it is, it induces a flow state. It organizes the brain. It's actually restorative. It turns the energy production back on.
And the final S.
Support. And this is a big but, neuro-affirming support. You don't need the friend who wants to drag you to a club to cheer you up.
You need the friend who will drop groceries at your door and then leave without ringing the bell.
Exactly. You need people who get that your silence isn't personal, it's medical.
So that's the emergency room protocol. Stop, seclude, stim, spin, support.
But how do we prevent the next crash? This is where we have to get kind of mathematical.
We do. Energy accounting. It's a concept from Dr. Alice Nichols. Since we can't feel our energy levels accurately, we have to track them like a bank account.
You mean literally assigning a numerical cost to tasks?
Precisely. You map it out. A shower costs 5 points. A Zoom meeting with the camera on, that's maybe 20 points. Camera off, only 10.
And you have a daily budget.
You have a budget. But here's the kicker, the part that's really hard to accept. Dr. Nichols calls it the 20-40% rule. You must aim to end your day with 20 to 40% of your battery left.
I'm sorry, who on earth has 40% of their energy left at bedtime? Most people slide into bed at, like, negative 5%.
And that is exactly why the burnout cycle repeats. If you spend 100% every day, you have no reserve. A flat tire, a sick kid, anything pushes you into overdraft. And if you're recovering, you're already in debt. You can't pay off a debt if you spend every penny you earn. That makes perfect sense. But actually doing it means you have to do so much less than you think you should.
It requires radical, uncomfortable boundaries. Saying no when you technically could say yes just to save that energy. It's pacing. You can use a traffic light system.
Red, yellow, green activities.
Yeah. Red tasks are high drain, green are restorative. You can't have a day of all red lights. You have to sandwich a red task between two green ones.
Balancing the ledger hour by hour.
It is.
Yeah.
And using physical hacks, like stimulating the vagus nerve to turn off that fight or flight response that gets stuck on.
How do you do that?
Cold water is the easiest. Splash ice cold water on your face. It triggers the mammalian dive reflex, instantly slows your heart rate. Or humming. The vagus nerve runs through your vocal cords, so the vibration actually stimulates it to calm down.
So if I'm understanding this, all these strategies, secluding, stimming, saying no, they all go against what society tells us is normal or productive.
They absolutely do. And that leads to the biggest and maybe the most provocative idea here. If the root cause of that psychic plaque is masking,
Twisting yourself to fit a world that wasn't built for you.
then the ultimate long-term prevention isn't just better energy management, it's unmasking.
Living authentically.
The radical act of just showing up as you are, stimming in public, wearing noise-canceling headphones to a meeting.
But let's be real, that can be dangerous. The world punishes difference. That could cost you a job or friends.
It's a massive risk, and it's a privilege to be in a position where you can unmask safely. But what we've talked about today shows the cost of not unmasking. The cost is your health, your brain function, years of your life.
So the choice isn't really between fitting in and being yourself. It's between uncomfortable authenticity and, well, medical collapse.
That's the trade-off. And maybe the more people who understand this neuroscience, the less we ask autistic people to do all the work. Maybe we can start reshaping our world, our offices, our schools, to fit the brains that are actually in them.
Instead of fixing the person, we fix the environment.
That's the only real permanent cure.
That's a powerful place to leave it. For anyone listening who feels like their battery is just always flashing red, you're not broken. You're running a high-performance system in a world that doesn't have the right voltage. So stop, seclude, stim, take care of your mitochondria.
Be kind to your brain.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.